All right. Why don't I open the meeting of Littleton Board of Health, February 13th, 2018. So we'll kick off with administrative matters. Any board member reports?
Not really a report, but I actually signed us up or told the Littleton, Littleton Council on Addiction?
Oh, the
Against
opiates?
Addiction?
Opiates.
That we were on board with them and that if we want to be included and stuff. So I think there's another meeting next week that I'm going to go to.
Okay.
All right.
Where's it going to be?
Not exactly sure.
They email me, okay?
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you some,
they gave,
I'm going to give you some of the pamphlets.
okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We all need those.
And
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Anything else? All right, I'll just, again, remind everybody, I haven't seen anything else, but that I won't be running for reelection. I don't know if anybody else is running, or who all is running, or anybody new has come on board. I
I
don't
think
know.
somebody I know would like
Okay.
to run.
Excellent.
I hope.
Stuff was just getting to be too much, so I had to make that decision.
No, I understand. We're going to miss you.
Good, at least one
How long
person.
you been on for?
Just a term,
Mm-hmm.
3 years.
That's not for a while, though, right?
What?
When's the election coming up?
May,
May?
May?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm trying to get my
It's only a couple months,
stuff done too.
3 months
right,
away.
yeah.
I'm gonna run too.
Good.
get
I'm
the
good.
paper.
That's
you
because
know.
you're just appointed for this, for the opening? Is that why?
Yes.
Yes, I was filling, and then
Yeah.
now I'm running for reelection.
Yep.
For actual election, not reelection. Keep me. Keep me.
Okay. Anything else? Not, again, I've not seen any minutes. The email from that Shelley sent last week, at least the one that I have,
Yeah, I have minutes on it.
doesn't have minutes.
Yeah, the big one.
Would you
Yeah.
like to read it?
I can't
What
read
is
it.
the
I don't
date?
have my glasses
So
on.
what is the date of your email?
The date of the email was for February 8th,
Yeah, the
the
email I have
12th.
February 8th.
for the 2/13. So you
Yeah.
scroll down in the SS scan from PDF. And I've got minutes from, I can't read them, I don't have my glasses.
I know,
with me, but
we'll get it. next
Minutes
time.
from November 14th to
Yeah.
go over, November 20th.
Yeah, so it does. So I
12th.
just did not,
I don't have it either.
I didn't scroll down far enough. I
Yeah, I
have,
thought it was going to be hard copy, too.
We'll
Yeah.
do it.
All right,
all right, we're going to have to, why don't we table then the minutes?
Correct.
And we'll take care of that. I'll ask Shelley for the next meeting to print the minutes
Mhm.
out and include them in the packet then
Correct.
for us. I opened up all those attachments. That attachment, all I looked at was the first page, which was the agenda, and I didn't
Mhm.
scroll down and look at, I didn't even
Okay.
bother looking, so. Okay, so we'll table minutes, review of minutes until the next meeting,
Correspondence.
which is, whatever, 27th, February
Right.
27th. Okay, and then any other updates or correspondence?
I don't have anything either.
We have nothing to sign,
Nope.
so looks like we're all good with that. Okay, so we can move on from that. All right, so we do have a discussion on 3 Lincoln Drive. That's set for 7:10. Is anybody here for that? Okay, that's not a public hearing, so we can open that early, actually.
Yep.
So why don't you come on,
Discuss.
come up to the table, and introduce yourself?
Okay, Roger Canard, 132 Hartwell Ave, Littleton. This is 3 Lincoln Drive, which has an approved permit for a two-bedroom septic system. I brought the plan with me. You guys want to look at it?
I think that's, Gino and I can share.
It
this.
is, but he's,
So you
I
want
have the room here.
to accessible allowing the room count.
So it is a two-bedroom septic system, so the room count, I think, would be 5.
Uh-huh.
Right. So this is a plan that I handed into Roland. We got a building permit, I think it was last July, maybe?
It's gonna be used for, whatever.
This is the plan. It was, we built this house in Littleton before on 15 Orchid Drive. And it's just
So
showing,
that's, yeah, I've got that.
showing you the floor
That's,
plan.
that's why the plan says 15 Orchid Drive.
Okay.
is
Right.
Because it's the same house, basically.
Yeah.
You got two-car garage.
Thank you.
One-car garage under.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
So the room is gonna be what, 210?
Why don't you walk us through?
Yeah, in the room
nuts,
that-
the bolts, and we have
You
a
see
little bit of
pictures.
When I handed in the plan, this shows this this basement area right here. The part that's been highlighted.
Yep.
So what it looks like now is I made a mudroom entry.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Which,
Oh, I see, so the garage is a tuck under?
yes,
And then, so the mudroom entry is from the garage?
right.
Do you want sugar?
And what that is the elevation of my first floor is up there because of the septic design.
Uh-huh.
So you can see,
So did you take the heat out of the mudroom?
we have not yet.
Are you planning to do that?
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Okay.
Carter, these are really nice. Having pictures like this to imagine what it looks like.
Well, pictures are worth 1,000 words, so it's easier to explain.
Yeah.
So if you look at the front of this house, you see the stairway?
Yep.
Okay,
I know what it looks like.
All right, yes.
let's go to picture 2. Picture 2 shows the stairway, also shows a side entry door,
Mhm.
which I thought your kids could use rather than going up that stairway all the time. And when they go through that door on the side,
Mhm.
if you go to picture 3, the back deck also has a lot of stairs to get up to the deck.
Right.
So picture 4, you come through that door, and you're into this room that I've highlighted right here.
Mhm.
You see, it can't be used for a bedroom, it's got an open stairway.
Right, right.
And in picture 5, it shows a picture of that room. It's got the electric service in it.
That's
So,
all. Let's see. When did you build this house?
Looks like it's reversed.
that's under construction right now.
Just put it
Yeah.
So this,
Those pictures were taken,
They are.
Oh, yeah, that's
yesterday.
the garage.
Okay.
that's a window?
That's a window, yeah,
Okay.
It is gonna be.
Yeah, so they can't see it.
as shown on the plan.
So-
Yeah.
Oh, there's electric service, there's,
Yeah.
okay, yep. So this, the
But he's
deck
not
is off
showing you
this
exactly where
backside
that
then?
lot is.
Yes. Well, off the
That's
back.
why it's cropped
You're in the
like
basement now.
There's-
Yeah, oh, this is
Yeah.
all,
It's minuscule.
and this is unfinished part of the basement here?
That's unfinished, yeah. The
Okay.
utilities are back there. You got your furnace, your hot water tank, your water service, but the electric service is in that room.
Okay.
And this is flipped, this plan.
Yeah, that's so.
Yeah.
It's a nice house.
So I thought, as you come in through the garage, you get into this room here, you can take your boots off, hang your clothes up,
Right.
and go upstairs for your kids or whoever. So to take heat out of that room, our furnaces today are between 92 and 95% efficient. To expect any heat to escape from that furnace to even take the draft out of this room, it's not going to happen.
Isn't he,
Anyone insulated?
aren't they saying to take the baseboard out? So the recommendation is, situation could be addressed by removing the heat in the basement room, so just that room. So I'm assuming that there's some
It's the,
heating
yeah,
components
it's hot
in
air
there.
heat. It's got a register that throws heat into that room to keep,
Yeah, okay.
take the chill off.
I read it, but I forgot.
So we're gonna deed restrict this house anyway, the 2 bedrooms. So I don't see the
Any problem?
need to take the heat out of there.
Well, I think the idea is to just make sure that when we're, permitting a 2-bedroom, that
Correct.
it stays a 2-bedroom.
Oh, it's got an open stairway there.
Yeah.
You'd have to build walls down there and everything.
Mhm.
So there's no, there's not a bathroom in the basement, right?
No bathroom,
There's no bathroom.
no.
Basically, it's a couple doors, and then it's got you have a coat closet. That would be,
Co-close there.
No, I'm doing this.
It's got the open stairway. I mean, you'd have to build walls to contain it.
$2 to close it off.
and
I know, $22
Yeah.
to close it off.
are there
I've done it.
doors into the unfinished part, or do you get to it from the garage?
From the garage.
Just from the garage? Okay.
Yeah, closets and privacy.
And so we're not here about the septic system at all, per
Oh, no,
se,
I'm
just the,
I was just laying the...
that's just for
Right, just letting you know what we did.
information.
Yeah, the house is built in 2 bedrooms. So the septic system is built for 2 bedrooms.
Don't read it.
So what was there, just so I understand this, what was there was 2-bedroom, 4-room total. And now what's there is 2-bedroom, 5-room total.
2-bedroom. You like the floor plan? I gave you the first and second floor.
Yeah, okay.
So you have this kitchen, family room, and you have a home office.
Yep.
I'm in Barron Way.
First floor. Second floor has
Barron Way.
2 additional rooms.
I'm Jones Street.
And then the
So
bath.
do you consider,
You didn't read
the
that.
kitchens and
No.
hallways that go around considered in the room plan? Am I wrong?
Well, I know hallways not, but I thought we were counting kitchens as
Okay.
rooms.
All right. So that would be 5 total, and that mudroom entry would make 6.
The mudroom entry. So that's the question at hand is,
And I think, usually we read Jim's,
well, let me just
Recommendations.
read what he has. So, all right, the owner will place an old dwelling, 2 bedrooms and 4 rooms total with a new structure, 2 bedrooms and 5 rooms. Because of site conditions, lot size, high water and perk rate, the septic system in full compliance with Title V could not be installed, thus limiting the dwelling to the original bedroom count. The board generally restricts 2-bedroom dwellings to 5 rooms total. And we're at 6. Right.
If you consider that a
Right.
room. And I
The
guess,
newly constructed house has additional finished space in the basement that could be considered another room. Given the constraints of the septic system size and the previous house size, I don't believe additional living space should be allowed. This could be addressed by removing the heat in the basement room. It would then act as a mudroom and not considered living space for the purpose of Title V.
right,
and I think, when this came up, the lot's very small,
very small.
and there were a lot of concerns on the abutters, from the abutters on drainage there, and just the increased recharge into the water table and what that might do to some of the conditions on their properties, and you're aware of all that. So I was actually glad to see that somebody picked up on this, that, in this case, where there's a variance given to provide for the owner to be able to redevelop the property into a usable space and, an improved house, that we keep to that we don't go too far in giving leeway and variances in a case like this, which is consistent with what Jim is saying here.
Mhm.
So, looks like the building inspector and our health agent both looked at it and deemed the basement as a potential additional living space, which,
Well, I totally agree
from what
with
I'm
it.
seeing,
Totally agree with that.
I would agree with that. And I think it's a great idea to put the mudroom in.
Yeah. And, we can take the heat out.
Yeah.
Reality is gonna be, they're gonna put the heat back in there when it's when somebody buys it.
Well, they'll be out of compliance,
Yeah.
and there's nothing that we can do about that. Well, maybe there is something we can do about it, but we have to give it our best shot,
Yeah, okay.
which is where we're at now. That's my opinion.
All right.
Is there any way that this window in the mudroom entry can be made into another pedestrian access door? And that would eliminate any privacy, that it would not be able to be considered a room?
That window there, the grade rises
Mhm.
on the outside wall. That's foundation below it.
Yeah, I couldn't see it really, it was just you have an interior picture.
What's the height?
They had to raise the back.
What's the height once it's finished of the ceiling?
Much higher
The
than.
ceiling, do you
I-
know?
Yeah, it'll be 7.6, I believe.
Height 7'6"?
Doesn't that limit what's considered living space as well? The height?
That's legal.
No, I'm just saying it. So haven't I seen, I remember having these discussions a couple of years ago, with someone just putting in a drop ceiling, and then it couldn't be considered living space because the ceiling was low enough.
But
And I don't know what that, so 7.6 would be
Yeah, I
considered a
couldn't go
living
any
space.
lower. I couldn't get my stairway to work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that
Yeah.
would be under the building department.
Yeah, no, I know that, I was just wondering, I couldn't remember what the,
only thing you can do is put a restriction on 2-bedroom. It's got a mudroom, so if you want to eliminate the door, the question, they got to get in someplace, right?
Well,
They can get in from the inside?
I think to satisfy Jim and Roland, we'd have to remove the heat.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Somebody else will put it in.
Right.
That's their problem. The question is going to be deed restriction, so they cannot use it for anything else.
Right.
Do you have a buyer?
I haven't put on the market yet.
Oh, okay.
But,
anything
you know,
else?
You're just gonna, you go in there with your boots and your coats, and you might as well just leave them in the basement.
Mhm.
What's this? Here it is. The size of that room itself is,
That would
2 by 10.
show on the original.
on this one?
Yeah. See, front to back, there's a line.
12 by 14?
Oh, here we go, 12 and a half.
Yeah,
Where's the other one? By 14?
12 by 10.
12 by 10.
7'6" for the height.
Okay. All right, anything else? Okay.
So we're gonna deed restrict it
Yeah.
and we'll take the heat
And
out.
then take the heat out, yep.
Okay.
We don't need that's as much as we need in the records, it's just a discussion, there wasn't anything to vote on,
Correct.
so.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you for coming.
all right,
Thank you.
Those pictures are all yours.
excellent.
Thanks, Roger.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, I'd like to close that discussion now. It is 7:20, open up the hearing for 73 Hartwell Avenue.
It's going to be on the Economic Development Committee agenda too on Thursday.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Larkin. I am Ted Doucette, and the owner of the property, Glenn Berger, is here with me. I have my proof of mailings for the...
Abutters?
For the abutters, butter notification. Okay. And from what I understand, we're here for tonight is to request a variance from the local regulations. The proposed septic system has fill proposed within 10 feet of a property line. The property line is for the right-of-way for the street. It does not go into the street, it's just filling near the property line within 10 feet so that we can avoid wrapping the entire system in a retaining wall. I can show you the system here. It's over here. So here's Hartwell Ave here.
Yep.
The proposed primary septic system is going to be here, having a driveway coming around the wetland area here to a house. There is a reserve area proposed in here on the other sheet that I can show you, but the reason we're here is for the fill is going to be in here. We could put a wall here, but, you know, for cost and aesthetics reasons, try to keep it more natural, allow fill to be within this property line
Yeah.
here.
What's the 10 feet away from?
It's not 10 feet, it's up to it's within a couple feet of the property line,
Okay,
but that's
yeah,
why
yeah.
we want the variance from the local upgrade. I don't know if you've seen the correspondence but the DPW has said that they don't have a problem with it because there is additional drainage in here. We're not filling into, you know, up to the street or taking any way of their
Yeah, yeah.
drainage there. So they're okay with it. I haven't seen Jim's comments after my submittal of the revised plans. I addressed his comments in a response.
Yeah, he said he didn't have an issue with the request.
Okay. So,
Is this a new house?
yes. So it's new construction, 4-bedroom.
How far is from here to there?
Yeah, how long is the driveway?
It's about 300 feet.
Jeez. yeah.
So the
You have a
reserve
tractor?
area has a significant retaining wall?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It does reach 5 feet. I can pull that up and show you.
What was Jim's, you circled back with Jim on that,
I talked to him today, and he said, you know, it's, he used some word, you know, behemoth or something like that, that the wall is large, and it is. But it meets Title V, and I talked to him about that this morning. You know, as much as we don't like it, it meets Title V.
Yeah, yeah.
The way I get by this and, you know, sleep at night, so to speak, is that I know it's never going to be built. I've never seen a reserve area built doing this, you know, 15 years or so now. And in this situation, are you going to go and spend $20,000 on a retaining wall to build a reserve area, or are you just going to tear up the other one and put it back in?
Right, right, right.
So, but it's a regulatory requirement that we show it, and it meets the
Makes the requirement.
requirements, doesn't violate Title V. We also show you have to show a conventional Title V area, because I'm proposing to use chambers up front, the infiltrated chambers, so I have the conventional Title V shown here, which requires a wall all the way around it. By using chambers, it gets smaller, and we can use just a wall on one side.
How big is the lot?
Off the top of my head, let me see, it is 63,500 square feet, so
Oh.
about an acre and a half,
Oh.
a little less.
You got an helicopter?
No, not yet. You know, there's a large conservation restriction back here, so there's nothing that can happen there. And then there's wetland areas in here and in here that we can't touch within
Right,
50
right.
feet of that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that kind of shuts down a lot of the area.
Oh, so it's an acre and a half, but a lot of it's wetland?
Jeez.
Not, a lot of it's wetland, a lot of it's the 50-foot offset to wetland that you
Yeah.
can't touch. The wetland area is relatively small, but, you know,
Unbelievable.
so.
this is fairly close to the preserve, right, as well? Is that what the conservation land?
Yeah, there's a conservation
Oh.
restriction here that wraps around all of the,
The other side.
it goes around, I don't know, locus on here.
Is the town
But-
forest?
Yes.
Oh,
So a few
Oh,
lots.
that is wet over there, yeah, it's low.
Yeah. Right, and so behind the house, it
Hartwell,
drops
not Harwood.
off into a valley, and there's a
Hartwell.
bunch of ponds.
Oh, Hartwell,
yeah.
Okay.
But this, to me, is just, you know, it's just runoff from the streets and nearby hills, but it's considered wetland.
right. Unbuildable.
This is Hartwell. This
Yeah.
is
It's on the way to the dump.
Yeah,
Spec
Is-
Pond on the
I
way
was
to the
thinking
dump, so
Hartwell.
And
going
this
down
part of Hartwell is down by King Street. This is closer to King Street than
Oh,
Spec
okay.
Pond.
Right.
Oh,
That's what I'm trying to
right,
tell us,
yeah.
This way.
Yep.
I didn't know there were lots down there.
The locust
Well,
must
it's
get
because
turned up.
most of it looks kind of making like a wetland.
Yeah, it looks like he's
it's-
he's 300 feet off of Hartwell. The house is being built.
So you can see, this is very small here, but there's a locus. So this is, here's Hartwell here.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is all conservation in here,
Oh, big.
and then wraps around these lots here, and comes in behind these lots here. So this is all conservation land that,
And over here's old buildable, right?
right.
Wow.
When you've taken all precautions, looking like you're not gonna have a lot of runoff to the wetlands anyway.
No, we got a permit from them.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's-
we're controlling all the runoff from the building, infiltrating that, and then anything that comes off the driveway will infiltrate along the side.
I think there's an abutter here. I don't know if,
And well, I was going to ask first, first, let's do this in order.
Yeah.
Any other questions here?
Come
on
from
the
the
board?
butter.
Okay,
We
do we
don't
have
have
butters here?
I have no question.
So anybody wants to talk, come on up, sit up here and
Want to see the plant right there?
grab a chair and then state your name.
Tracy,
All right.
you got your notice.
Yeah, grab a chair and bring it up.
We have their names. Why don't I give them a,
Okay, cozy.
We'll let these guys go first. We have
I'll tell you
number
what,
of items to discuss. So, yeah, you can go ahead.
tell them to put their name, tell them to leave their name
Hold
on
on,
there.
hold on. Can we please keep this like orderly? All right, I'm getting stuff shoved in my face. All right, so, who
We'd like
would,
to defer to these guys to go first.
okay,
Oh, we are here for something else.
Oh, you're here for something else?
Yeah, for the next
Okay.
person, yeah.
okay,
This application.
Thank you.
Should put their name.
yep. All right. You have a pen on you, you need a pen, once you sign in, state your name, print it if you would please, for the record.
What's the address on this?
73.
73.
Yeah, thank you. I need that too.
Hot address.
Yes,
I can't.
I know the direction of it, but I can't
On
get
Google
the.
Earth.
Yeah,
Location.
well, I don't want to. What's that? I need aerial view.
Oh, boy.
so, go ahead.
So for the record, Nick Fasendola, Level Design Group, here on behalf of Mr. Phil Pittarino, direct abutter to the property. His lot's right here.
What's the address of your lot?
65 Pablo.
This is 73. This is 73 or 75, right?
65, he's 65.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
65, all right.
Direct abutter to the project. So, Phil, I'm a licensed engineer in the state of Massachusetts, soil evaluator, all that stuff. So Phil asked me to do a review of the plan for compliance purposes. I prepared a letter and submitted some additional information. I don't know if the board has received that.
No.
You didn't, I submitted it.
Maybe the office will have it, but we don't have it.
Well, let's see.
Early, I mean,
So-
mid-January.
I got from Ted, notice to abutters, so that was included in the packet.
Can I see a copy of that, please? The certified mail? Because I never received any
Let me see if I can get
certified
something
mail.
better.
One of
We didn't
these?
do certified mail, we just did notice of mailing.
Okay, well, that's our first issue. The regulations specifically state certified mail is required. So, I mean, the board technically shouldn't even open this hearing, to be honest. Certified mail
The
and
neighbors aren't here.
registered mail is
There's a
completely
neighbor
different.
that's in a butter that, I don't know if they even know, so.
I think it says certified, yeah.
This is what we've done with Shelley. I told her I was doing notice of mailing, she was fine with it, and it's been practice. If we
Right.
want to do certified
Okay.
mail and circle back, we can, but this has been common practice for years.
Okay, so
Maybe-
why don't we,
First-
why don't we?
correct,
That's
first-
understood, we'll move on. We'll take that as an action maybe at the end. Let's follow up then with concerns or.
Sure, no
input.
problem. So,
That's north, right?
I don't know how you guys didn't get the
Northern.
letter I dropped off. It was
Is this him?
Board of Health Office for a few weeks now, but I can go through.
Do you have copies of that letter?
I have one copy.
Just your one copy?
Correct, yes. But I can go through it all here for you. So,
So,
we'll start with the application. The original application
69.
was described as a local upgrade approval, which this is not. This is a new construction variance. The original application said multiple places, local upgrade, which is if you're doing an upgrade to a failed system where relief is typically given. This is new construction variance required. I mean, it even says local upgrade in the center of the plan. Somewhere over in that location. So that's our first issue with the application. They were looking for relief from Regulation 23 and 27, as detailed in the first application. So Regulation 23 is the abutter notification requirement. I don't see why you'd be seeking relief from that, which clearly details that abutters are to receive certified mails no less than 10 days before the hearing. And the other part of that regulation is to flag the location of the proposed septic system, which I doubt has also been done, when requesting relief from the board in the form of a variance. And with regard to the, this application here, Regulation 27, you can see here, they have a 98 and 98 contour, 99, but this contour is actually 98, so you're going to be creating ponding right through here. So I don't think the grading really works out, and if you're looking for...
Could you just, I can't see the numbers, so
No
can you
problem.
tell?
This is the 98. It's tough to read on this plan because these aren't labeled properly. and
Yeah.
They're not really labeled, but I have a separate plan that shows those. But this is actually a 98 contour that comes through here. So you have the 98, the 98, and then you're essentially ponding water in the center of the
Okay.
edge of the driveway. So it's just a concern, with regards to ponding, creating an isolated area at the edge of the roadway, could freeze, in a winter event, so you may have that issue. So I don't know if Jim actually received the letter also. I mean, it was directed, dropped off at the Board of Health office, but, so we have, just going down the town's regulation list, Regulation 30, which details the requirements for variances. So, I mean, like I said, it's been described as a local upgrade approval, which it is not. It's been described as a waiver, which it is not. It's a variance for a new construction system, so that's something that should be taken into account. The plan doesn't meet the plan requirements detailed in Regulation 15. There's no PLS stamp on the plan. There's not even property
It
dimensions.
is a stamp.
Nope, engineer. There's a difference between a civil
You
engineer.
finish to speak, okay? And then I have a few
All right,
minutes.
hold on,
Okay?
hold on, let them go one by one.
Well, I can't stamp a property line plan. I'm a civil engineer. So is Mr. Duchette. So you need to have a land surveyor stamp the plan, which is clearly detailed in the requirements. There's not even property line information on here. Granted, when you're working so close to a property line, you're working really close to someone's driveway easement, those things should be shown. Also, there's a driveway that's not shown right here, right in this driveway easement, right next to the system. Why that wasn't shown, I don't know. It's on the property, it exists today. It provides access to this property right here.
So that was gonna be my question. So there's supposed to be a driveway, there's a driveway here?
There is a driveway
And
that
that
runs
moves to your property or?
That goes
The front house, the neighbors that aren't, they're
to
not
the
here,
front
so.
house.
To the front house, and yours is that one that's behind?
It's like, yeah.
I know, I live down, farther down Hartwell.
Your house is really right there?
From here, it's a yellow house right here,
Yeah.
whose driveway
So there's a
goes.
driveway that's not shown. This is all plan-related items, which should be shown. There's a driveway easement. The breakout area could be in the driveway, or you could be breaking out onto the driveway. Something that should be addressed. Now back to, other Title V related items. Our main issue is with the retaining walls. Title V has a guidance for constructing retaining walls around septic systems. And there's actually sections within the regulations which recommend that an impervious barrier needs to be 10 feet away from the edge of the system. In this situation, the wall is, the face of the wall is about 5 feet from the edge of the system. And I've personally worked on systems that have had to be repaired because the wall is too close to the system. So you have hydraulic pressure build up behind the wall and it just pushes the wall out. And the system's in failure essentially, because you have concrete, it's probably a block wall, I would assume. You need to have a distance of gravel for a drainage layer, so for water to drain behind the wall, and then before you have your impermeable membrane. And this wall is going to be over 5 feet tall, so it's going to have to be structurally designed. But it doesn't seem like putting the wall within 5 feet of the system complies with Title V. I can send you the section. It is 310 CMR 15 255, section 2, section E, which it calls it a recommended distance, and that's just for the edge of the barrier. So you have the system, the barrier, then you have some sort of gap, and then the wall. I mean, he's with not even putting the edge of the wall at the recommended distance.
So,
That's what I was getting at.
Which seems a
That's
bit,
what I was getting at.
so all right, before we do too much on this,
Right.
we don't know if Jim has seen the letter. I'm assuming you haven't seen this letter.
I haven't seen it, no.
right? I haven't seen the letter. None of us have seen the
I
letter.
apologize.
No.
I apologize.
It's not your
I just
fault.
brought more
Describing.
copies.
No.
It's not your
I
fault.
think it would be that's a pretty in-depth letter. I think it would, even if you'd have brought enough copies for us, it would have taken us a long time to go
No, I
through this and
understand.
get Jim's input. So I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just describing,
Oh, I
making sure
understand.
we're all on the same
Correct.
page on this. So it sounds like there's a lot of information
Correct.
that we can talk through a bit of this now, but it also seems to me that until we know if Jim's reviewed this
Right.
and provided his thoughts, and then, and then Ted looking through this and working with Jim on how to approach your concerns. I don't think going through too much more of this discussion is probably useful, because I'm not ready to hold a vote on whether we
Right.
approve these variances. There's too much going on here at this point.
Well, I disagree, because we can address everything that he has said and
Right.
hopefully give you a level of comfort that,
May
ready
I
to
have
move
a
on.
few minutes, Mr. Chairman?
Okay, well, all right,
Thank-
so hold on. Before we move on, I wanted, if we think we can get through this and resolve this, then we can move on with that. So are there other issues that are brought up in the letter?
I think
Variance.
he did a-
Perk test?
Correct, yeah, no, there's a few other ones.
Can I say something? Could I just say, I'm not comfortable resolving anything, because when did you send that letter in?
Mid-January.
January 20th
Yeah, so if there was a
ballpark, I
letter-
dropped off like 5 copies, hoping they would get
If there was a
circulated.
written letter submitted and we don't have it to look at, I wouldn't be comfortable making
Right, well, I mean,
any
that's my
decisions.
baseline, but.
So I'm just telling you.
Yep.
Well, and the certified mail, is it certified or is it what he did?
Well,
What's
I
the
want some
law?
clarification from
Yeah.
from Shelley as well, because we
The
have.
direct abutter is not here, which worries me. I don't know if
Yeah.
they,
Well, I mean, again, what the practice has been, as Ted has stated. Now, whether, and so whether a butter show or not is on the abutters, I guess. But having said all that, that's even something, clarification would be of useful for us as well. And we'd need to talk with Shelley about that. Shelley's never commented. Shelley is amongst the biggest sticklers for
She never
rules and
said it.
regs, so I've
never
certainly
said it.
never questioned that, but having you guys brought that up, it's worth having that discussion with Shelley as well. So that's certainly related to this.
Okay, we just have 2 more things that
Okay.
that are highlights of the letter. So one of them is, there was some not historic, but testing done 10 years ago on the lot. The applicant put this little Title V perk sheet right here, and this sheet references this perk hole here, which, I mean, it says it has a perk rate of 50-something minutes an inch, and that's where he's proposing the reserve. Even though it wasn't the testing done this year, I mean, soils don't change, and the data form was put on the plan, and the location of that historic test was put on the plan, and I think the applicant should be held to that, which would make this a not unsuitable place for a reserve. So that's one of the 2 issues. And the other issue was Mr. Pittarino, prior to this application being submitted and had approved an application for a well on his property, which is located 50 feet off the property line, which the reserve area would clearly fall into. I don't know why Jim didn't bring that up. Jim signed off on the permit for Mr. Pittarino. The well is actually being drilled next week. So that's something that should also be addressed.
It doesn't have to be 100 feet. We can give a variance up to 50 feet on the well, so. Did you finish already? Because I'm sorry, Mr.
Well,
Chairman.
hold on
I
a
want
second.
this
No.
gentleman to
Gino?
talk. to
Gino?
me. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Let him finish.
All right.
I'm just bringing up facts that the board is not aware of.
That wasn't, none of this has been clear, so that's fine.
So yeah, there's a well going right here, and you are allowed to give a variance. It's probably not standard procedure to give variances from wells for new construction. That's just my history of doing this for many years. But I mean, that's the final issue. And like I said, you guys will have, I can get you additional copies of the letter tomorrow, and you can go through it yourselves at your leisure. But
Okay, so,
we're up to discuss anything.
all right, so, Ted, why don't you, I'll grant it to you and sort of reply to the individual things, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Local upgrade approval versus variance, potato. Variance, to me, is usually when you're varying from Title V. Everything is in compliance with Title V. So we're looking for approval from the local Board of Health regulations, which under Title V, Section 403, whatever it is called the local upgrade approval. Potato. I'm not going to hang on that. As far as the ponding and things over here, that's beyond 15 feet from the septic system, so it's really not within your purview. Yeah, maybe there's a technical there's something out there that, once we're out there, we're gonna grade over it, and, we'll see it, that, we need to make some field adjustments. That's not uncommon. So that's outside of the purview of this application. As far as PLS, I do not have any bearings and distances on this plan because, as has been stated, I can't certify those, so I don't put the actual bearings and distances on there because I don't want it seeming that I'm doing. I have a certified plot plan. I've tied into it. I've had a surveyor who actually was out there doing other work. He checked my work, so I'm confident with where everything is. I believe the regulation requires us to reference a plan, which has been done in here, that has a PLS stamp, and that plan has been recorded with Registry of Deeds for years. As far as this easement here, if you can see in this text here, it gets a little busy. It says driveway easement granted to 69 Hartwell Avenue. There is a line for it right there. Now, whether I show the pavement or not, if you want to say, shame on you, Ted, you should have. I just don't think showing a driveway when I have the easement and it's not affecting the project, if the board says, hey, show the pavement, we can do it. But the easement is shown, I don't encroach on the easement, and it is shown and delineated. As far as the retaining walls, it was properly stated that that is a guidance document. It says 10 feet is recommended. There have been many walls that I've designed and installed and had no problems with over the years where you put it at 5 feet. As you can see on the detail where it's claimed that maybe someone's scaling off of here because it's so busy in here, it doesn't look like 5 feet, but you can see the 60-inch to the back of the wall, which has the impervious barrier in there. The wall is not going to be 5 feet. There wasn't a mention to a wall being 5 feet, but that's for the reserve area. This one is only going to be a couple feet high. So, regarding drainage and things like that for a 2-foot wall, when all the drainage is being controlled, being shut off, I'm not concerned with that. As far as reserve testing, as was stated, the testing does not change, it does not expire, and so we use that testing along with several other holes, including a hole right here, which failed, and we have to stay 25 feet away from that, which we do on the reserve area. So we have testing at suitable locations. Jim never brought up any testing, so my understanding is that it's in compliance with Title V. As far as a well being drilled and being 50 feet away, or less than 100 feet away from that, it's not going to be a drinking water well, I believe. I may ask for the abutter to clarify that, but they are served by town water. And if wells, if you could put in a well and not have someone put their septic system in within 100 feet, well, then wouldn't we all put wells around our property as soon as we move in and prevent anyone from building next door to us? And so that is something that could be varied, because it's not a drinking water well, from what I understand. Went through them very quickly. Throw it back to you.
So point of clarifying, is Drink
It's
water?
both irrigation, drinking water.
Okay.
It's going to pay for itself both ways. It's a no-brainer to do both.
So you're cutting off town?
Cutting off town, disconnecting, getting a letter from the town saying I'm disconnected. It was in the permit, it's all spelled out.
I've got this up on Google, and I'm just wondering if you could point me to where your property is? So that's 73 Hartwell.
It's all
Can you see
where
it?
there's no grass.
Over here?
Yeah.
That's what I was
Just-
saying,
just
yeah,
look
that's
at
it.
So you, it's a new build?
Yeah.
It's new construction, yes.
Okay. And then this is a greenfields we're talking about. This
It's what?
is greenfields, undeveloped property.
Right, just like his was a year and a half ago, right?
And it's a, just to get it clear, it's a 4-bedroom?
Yes, proposed 4-bedroom. I mean, hey, my house 20 years ago was a greenfield too, so.
Really? Oh, nice.
I think pretty much everybody was 150 years ago, 200 years ago, so.
Can you explain?
There's more backstory to all this. We have a letter that went to conservation. You know, there's a lot of history. I bought the lot from somebody who bought the lot from the owner with the permit in hand. Went to go change my septic system. Was told I didn't have a lot. Had to get attorneys involved, go to, you know, pay a bunch of money and get it straightened out, but my lot wasn't supposed to be a lot because of
The conservation restriction.
the conservation restriction. There was supposed to be
original approved
six lots, original lots, which were already built. Mine was the 7th lot. Now he's trying to get an 8th lot, so it's, no.
Have you been to
When I bought my
Concom
lot, I
yet?
was told it was the last lot. Now, we're getting another lot here, so it's 15 years later, so if this was a lot, it would have been done back with the 6 lots, just like my lot. So it was delayed for 15 years, so everyone would forget. And, you know, I bought my lot not knowing all this. When I did find out, you know, I'm not going to let it keep going on because I don't think it's right. But we had a whole letter.
I just have a question. Have you been to Concom yet?
Yes, so we have our hearing, we have a hearing with them on the 22nd. We've been before them a couple of times. We had some issues with trying to determine what the wetland is. So once we finally came to the determination of wetland, we submitted a plan. We went before them. They gave us comments. We have addressed those comments, and we're going back before them on the 22nd.
And what's the delineation based on?
Flagging that we had done in June.
By
of-
who flagged it?
Her name is Leah Basmains.
What's her certification?
I don't have her resume in front of me, but she's well-respected in the industry.
So is she a certified wetland?
Yes, she's a wetland
scientist?
botanist. She's been doing it for years. She
She's
knows.
got a certified wetland.
I shouldn't say that, because I don't know what the licensing requirements are.
Okay.
She sits on Concom, she's been doing this for, she used to do it for me back in 2004, 2005. I believe Amy knows her, and, you know, she's qualified.
That's another thing, the wetlands line was marked out, it was called one thing, and then at the meeting, without her knowing, it was called something else.
See, wait a minute now, she doesn't, she marks the resource areas and leaves it up to us to determine what they are. She says you have soil here, don't have soil here, you have standing water here. She flags where the resource area is and says, Ted, you go look at the regulations and determine what it is. So it's nothing to do with her.
Can I ask you a question? What is a reserve area?
A reserve area is a regulatory requirement that states when you're doing new construction or increase in flow, you must show a reserve area equal to the size of your primary area. Theory is that if it happens to, if the primary fails, you have a place to build a reserve.
Primary septic.
The primary is what you build,
Yeah, okay.
and then you have a reserve. Now, I've been doing this for a few years, and maybe Nick has some other insight, but I've never seen a reserve built. I've never heard of one being built.
Okay.
You know, in this case, are we going to come build a $30,000 wall, or are we going to dig this up and put it back in?
Okay, all right.
So the tie in all that,
You good.
the 5-foot wall was really about the reserve, that at this point, there's no intention to build.
Correct. There's no application built that. Did you have?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just wanted to comment on this gentleman's claim that there was something untoward about his lot when he bought it. I had these 2 lots, the one we're talking about now and the one he bought. I had a P&S with a gentleman. It was contingent on him getting it permitted. It was just the planning board had delineated. I wasn't doing anything. And he decided to buy the other one. and it was up to him to decide to buy it or not. So I didn't sneak anything or try to do anything. At the time, there were 6 lots in the whole project. Anybody can rearrange empty space and come in for revisions, and that's what we did. We bought some land and created some frontage and created 2 lots. And all with permitting, all there. And we just kept the lots for a long time. The recession hit, I just sat on them.
So you're you're the owner, but you're the developer of?
I didn't
of the-
develop any of the lots,
You just own the land and then you're
Right.
selling it off to developers?
that's right.
Yeah. Okay.
So according to planning board standards, they're both lots, and they were both created at the same time on the same plan recorded at the registry.
Well, we have the, okay.
Any
May I
other-
have a few seconds?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I know this gentleman here for many years, he's an engineer, and you are an engineer, I appreciate you coming, okay? The question is, he was kind enough to buy a lot from the owner, even though he knew that someday he might be able to, when the market will change, he probably will be building something like that. So he knew before he bought his house. So I don't see why. He bought that, he owns the house, and he owns his house. He could have said, no, I'm not gonna sell you this house, this land. I'm gonna sell you that land. If you wanna buy it, buy it. I mean, now his time came that he wants to build a house because financially maybe he needs extra money. So
I'm not buying that story. I mean, it doesn't make
Hold
sense.
on, hold on, to Carbone.
I'm not finished.
Sorry.
sometimes to be nice, it doesn't pay. You should have said to him, you want to build it, you build in their lot. It was buildable. And you would have retained the good lot. People don't understand sometimes when you do something. You learn in the process. But the question is, this engineer, I have faith in engineer like I have faith in you. The question is, he's been here a long time, and he will not deceive this board. Period.
He will what?
Okay, will not deceive the board. So,
He was
hold on a second.
once on the board too, correct?
I don't know that. Don't know that. I agree with everybody here. My biggest thing is what happened in the purchase of land, non-purchasing, who squabbled with squabble, whose lawyers got involved, doesn't matter to the facts of what's happening to the systems, what's happening in the program that's going on right now, and what happens in the plans that are happening in this moment. So if the plans are true or false, that will be determined by further investigation, which is where we're getting at. But at the whole same time, what happened between you two doesn't matter to if there's land or a house built on this land. It matters of that is in your own personal time, kind of thing. So here now, we're looking for proof of what is right on the plans and right for can they build or can they not build. As the chairman was saying, we're going to definitely, and we're all seemingly leaning to that, get more information.
Correct.
Investigate. You're not wrong, and you're not wrong. In the end, it's ultimately, can you build or can you not build? And we're going to find that out. But I'm on the same board or same page as we're not going to make decisions today. Today is let's get more facts, let's get more proof, let's get more evidence of you're right or you're right.
Well, just to clarify,
Yes, sir.
that would require a motion, a second, and a vote on that.
I understand. But I'm
So
just,
I wouldn't say we're doing that. We need to
No.
determine what we're doing. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves in what we're doing. Any other questions from the board? Just question to you, did Ted sort of summarize at least your points of concerns accurately and miss anything? Whether his opinion is different, I'm not asking you that.
Correct. I mean, I
Or
think
whether you
he-
agree with it, but the points that he summarized,
Correct.
accurate?
I don't agree with the.
It's not the question I asked. I just want to make sure
I
we've
believe
captured everything.
he summarized.
Nothing was left out in
No, I
what
mean,
he
there's some other
summarized and responded.
minor plan issues, so just for the record, the letter's not a angry, it's a review of the plan based on the town regulations
Understood?
and Title V.
Yeah.
That's what's in the letter.
Yeah.
Compliance, plan requirements, how the waiver is requested, how it's detailed on the plan, so on and so forth. So that's what's in the letter. So that has nothing to do with past history. So
I would imagine not.
just for the record. I mean, I would like a little for Ted to clarify to the commission, or excuse me, the board, the failing perk test of 2005 in the reserve, how you can put a reserve system in that area and show it on a plan I mean, maybe Jim missed it because it wasn't current testing, but I don't understand how you can have a perk rate of 50 minutes an inch and not come to this board for a variance for that to cite your reserve.
Can you explain
Do you
it to
need,
you?
The regulations don't state it. The regulations state that if you have a perk rate greater than 30 minutes per inch, you have to bring the plan before the Board of Health. It's not a failing anymore. It's that because 30 minutes per inch years ago was a failing, anything greater than 30 minutes was a failing perk test. Now it's not a failing perk test. It is, you're required to come and have review by the board. That's going from memory.
I thought it was 40 minutes an
Correct,
inch
for
a 40,000
regulation
square foot
5
lot.
of the Littleton regulations, any lot over 30,000 square feet, anything over 40 minutes an inch is a failure and will require variance from this board. That's just reading it right from the regulations. I copied and pasted it into the letter. So to us, this is a non-buildable lot. They don't have enough room for an acceptable reserve. Typically, people do trenches and trenches. You know, that's been our problem with this development the entire time, with conservation, with this board, that this lot isn't suitable. You have too many wetlands, you have the conservation restriction. It's too tight to jam a large 4-bedroom house with, I mean, you could probably fit a 2-bedroom house with a large garage. It's just too much for the lot. And I'd like for the board to take that into consideration. Something could be built here, but not this. Not a 4-bedroom septic system. It's too much for this parcel. You could do a few other things. So those are our major items. The failure to properly notify abutters, to us, puts this hearing in jeopardy, but that's for the board to decide on their own. And like I said, other plan-related issues which are detailed in the letter, which I'm sorry I would have brought more copies. I don't know why you didn't receive them. I hand-delivered them to the board over almost a month ago, so.
Okay.
Sorry I didn't follow up on that
That's-
with the board or the secretary to coordinate that.
Yep, and just for the record, before we move on then, and before we entertain any motion, I'll just read Jim's full notes on this. I've reviewed this, so 73 Hartwell Avenue, I've reviewed the septic plans for this site where a new house is being proposed. Though the site is large, it contains significant wetland areas, has a seasonal high water table and high perk rates of 30 and 38 minutes per inch. The septic system design requires placement of fill for the primary leaching area within 10 feet of the lot line. The reserve area relies on a significant retaining wall. The fill required for the primary area should not affect the abutters, and the highway department has no concerns regarding the roadway. See message below. So from Chris Stoddard from Department of Public Works, has stated that we've reviewed the plans as well as the site and have no issues with the plans proposed. So then Jim finishes with, I don't have an issue with the request. So, just for the record, I wanted to state that, so all had it. So, before we move on, any further questions or comments from the board?
I thought that it was just the distance from the road that was an issue. And I think we seem to be getting into another whole can of worms.
Well, so the variance being requested is that, yes.
Right, yes.
The 10
Okay.
fill, the 10
Yeah.
foot for the fill, that's.
So I went to
that's the only
highway,
way-
and highway was
Right.
fine with it, and
But the abutter has come with major
Yeah.
concerns listed throughout, and to me, the issue at hand is, I'm not sure if Jim has seen this or not, we've certainly not seen it. So that's the question. So the variance request is a very simple variance request, something we've reviewed in almost 3 years, hundreds of times, and seemingly relatively straightforward. There's some other questions that may need clarification. So to answer your question, yeah,
Yeah.
it's relatively straightforward, although we don't typically have any concerns from abutters. Maybe some clarifying
Right.
questions, but almost any no concerns, unlike what we're having this time. So
Yeah.
that's sort of the question.
If you scroll down, Jim's notes also say, I don't know, maybe you just read it, the fill required for the primary area should not affect the abutters, but that's just this area right here. Okay.
Yes,
So the primary
It's not
area,
talking-
just to put it,
Yeah.
just to put it
Yeah, okay. 'Cause
a fine, just to put a fine point on it, and someone help me understand this, but this would be the drive down to your
No.
your
No.
lot, or are you on this?
Way over here.
You're over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't-
And then, but there's, is
So
it the
this-
old Hartwell
Yes.
resident, the house is
Yellow
here?
house, yeah, the
That
old house.
69, right, is right here?
I don't know the
Yeah,
number
okay.
off the top.
So here's, so it's, yes, it's 69. Here's the back lot line for theirs. So this driveway comes in here. There's a barn or a garage here. There's a house over in this area. And then Mr. Perino comes, his driveway comes in on the other side of that. It's a
Two houses
hammerhead.
down.
Hammerhead, okay, 2 houses down, and then comes down and wraps around here. And then this is his property line right here.
Oh, I see where your driveway is now.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No, this is
true.
beside the point a little bit, but I don't understand how you can put plans together with construction and fill without the proper property lines on it.
It does have proper property lines, I just can't certify them. I'm telling you, those property lines there are within an inch of where they're saying, but I can't,
Well,
I
that's the
can't put my
whole.
stamp on it.
No, no, I understand that, but the whole point of a PLS is to make sure that it's correct, and that's beside the point, like I said.
Well, if
It
it's beside the
just-
point, don't bring it up, because it's, you know,
Well,
it's on
I
a,
would say
it's a certified, I used to, I went from a certified plan,
Right.
and I showed the boundary markers.
Okay, let me
Yeah.
rephrase that.
Yeah.
It's not beside the point, because it is important to people in the town who are budding and who are developing property, or who are buying developed property, that when we certify something, the property lines have to be correct. But what I meant is it's probably not something to go into right now. So,
Well, actually.
Well, I want to, because I want to know what we have to address and what the board's comfortable with.
Right.
The plans meet the regulations. They reference a plan certified by a professional land surveyor. They're shown, I show the markers. I can't put numbers on there given bearings and distances. So when you say, how can I create a plan without the proper property lines? I feel they are proper, they are correct, and that's why my name is on it and my stamp. And so they are proper, and I guess at this point, it's, take my word for it, because I put my reputation, life, and livelihood on it with a stamp and signature.
So this is and I mean, I think this is just, again, to clarify, this is one of the concerns that you guys have, that isn't the case, but your response to this is our local requirements doesn't require this to be, for these plans, that you only need to reference a
From my
certified-
understanding,
Right.
that's,
So that may
I
be
don't have them in
something.
front of me.
Right, neither do I, it's a thick book, so I don't bring it, but,
Well, if Jim didn't pull it up, you
right,
know.
right. So, okay, so that may be a completely different discussion of whether.
yeah.
I mean, whether our local ordinances are sufficient or should be more clarified if they're not, on what it should be. Anything else from the board? Anything here first to the abutters?
Well, I mean, just a final point, not to keep kicking the horse that's dead, but, you know, the survey, PLS survey requirement is to show that you're accurately representing what's out there. And it's clear that this plan does not. I mean, there's a driveway 5 feet away from the septic system that's not shown. I mean, how much more discussion is needed to say that the survey is accurate? I mean, it's not. There's a paved driveway that services and abutters parcel, it's their main access, and you're putting a septic system 5 feet away from it, 2 feet away from it? I don't know, because it's not on the plan. I've seen it on a record plan that was submitted to conservation, that's how I know about it, but that's just circling back on why the requirement's there, why a land surveyor is required to stamp the plan and certify that the existing conditions, the grades, the wetlands flags are in the right spot. I mean, do I know how to do that stuff? Yeah, I can go out there and use a surveying equipment and do that type of stuff, but I don't because I'm not licensed to do so. Same thing with Mr. Duchette. He's not licensed to create a plan of this nature and show property lines and site features of that thing to an accurate level when you're doing a plan like this. I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, if he had a plan, if this survey was, this, what I typically do is I hire a land surveyor. They survey a lot, they prepare a plan, and if I want to then prepare my design plan over that, I reference that stamped survey plan, saying the name of the surveyor, the name of the plan, when the plan was surveyed, so on and so forth. He references a property line plan, and that's recorded in the registry of deeds. That's, I don't know what the date of it is, but
Let me give
that's
you-
not a topographic survey prepared by a licensed land surveyor.
Property lines are based upon the following plan. Plan of land, Hartwell Avenue, approval not required, it's an A&R plan, by Waterman Design Associates dated 11/10/2005, Paul B. Baptiste, PLS number 3393, recorded with the Registry of Deeds, Southern District Plan number 696 of 205, dated 12/7/2005 when it was recorded. So therefore, it is a plan that has been approved by the land court. Forgive me for losing words. Now, I have it electronically. I found permanent markers. I laid my permanent markers over it. I mean, I laid my electronic line over the permanent markers that I picked up. It all checked out. As I said, for my own confidence, I had it checked by a land surveyor who was doing other work out there. Now, let's talk a little bit about the difference between accuracy and completeness. Now, this plan I'm contending is accurate, and if we want to start splitting hairs, we can. This plan is accurate. The property lines are where they're supposed to be. If I don't show a property line, a driveway on the other side, and the Board of Health wants it, that's fine. There's nothing in any regulation that says all pavement must be shown within every single, abutter and things like that. So, there's two different issues here. But I think we can put the property line thing to bed, because I stand behind this plan enough to put my stamp and name on it.
Okay. So, if no further discussion, is there any motion at this point?
Is it a motion to continue? Is that?
Could
Well,
be,
it-
yeah.
Well, I motion to move forward with getting further evidence and accuracy on the rules and regulations for the property. I'm trying to word it correctly, but
So are you,
I'm
are you
moving
asking
towards-
you're motioning to continue
continue
and
discussion.
to get verification from Jim and review of Jim of the letter and concerns in their letter?
Absolutely. And each point
And
in
then
there
at
to be
which point
reviewed.
we would need to follow up with another meeting. for it.
I'll
Yes.
second.
I second the motion.
Oh, you have a second. All right, before we take a vote on that, any further?
Well, I just want to say again, regarding the property line I'd like, if you have it, Nick, and tell us exactly what the regulation says, because this is how plans are done. I mean, probably on 75% of my plans, you don't even need to have a surveyor, because you've got the reference plans. The time that you need a surveyor is when you're within 10 feet of a property line. Other than that, it's referenced, and I would have a stamped plan either associated with it or co-stamping my plan if we were within 10 feet. So,
I do want to clarify with my motion, it's not about the property lines. It's
Well,
about
it's
all the
also-
questions that have come up from the letter.
Correct.
procedurally.
Yep.
My opinion on these two does not mean any different than either one of you. I stick by the book and by the facts. I understand what you're saying. You wouldn't put your name on it if you didn't believe that it represented who you were as a planner. But at the same time, my motion is not about property lines or this document. My motion is about everything within those property lines of what you want to develop.
Correct. And for the record, we're not questioning Mr. Duchette's integrity or anything of that nature. We're just saying that there's things that aren't shown on the plan. That's it. That's all the letter is getting at. We're not saying he's being deceitful in any way or trying to do anything inappropriate. That is not the intent of the comments or any statements I've made today. We just looked up, these are just some minor inconsistencies that we found, and that's it. So we're not trying to question anybody's intent or anything of that nature. So I just want to make that clear, that we're not looking to do that. It's just, I went through the regulations, 1 through whatever they are, 30, looked at the plan, looked for compliance, and anything that didn't seem like it was in compliance, I noted. Same thing with Title V. I went through Title V, looked at the plan. Anything that looked like it didn't comply, I made note of that. So when you guys have time to take a look at the letter, hopefully Jim will have a chance to take a look at it, and we can get all this resolved.
All right, so we have a motion to continue pending Jim's review of the letter and then feedback to us, as well as us as a board individually reviewing the letter. Hopefully we'll get this followed up at the next meeting or the next convenient meeting to get moving on this. Me personally, the only thing I'd like to get an answer on and get a assessment from Jim is the well near the reserve and what his thoughts on that, right? So that's a little iffy sounding to me on where the well is, but it's a reserve area. So I mean, that's something I'd like to hear from Jim on what he thinks. And maybe Jim's fine with it, but
I'd also
he
like the
doesn't
chronology
address.
of that, when this was done,
Okay,
when the well permit was applied, and
Versus
in relation to
your-
submittals
these-
started coming in and things like that.
yeah,
The well permit was in hand before the
okay.
plan was
Well, we'll-
submitted.
Yeah,
For the record.
that's fine.
Right.
That's
Okay.
fine.
All right, so with that, if no other comments, we have a motion to continue based on pending Jim's review and feedback to us, as well as our review, and we have a second. All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Do we need to continue to a specific date and time?
We'll have to follow back
He
with
said
that.
at the next convenient
Yeah,
meeting.
Okay,
whenever-
all right,
yeah,
okay. I
whenever-
thought it was
yeah,
a specific date and time.
No, no,
Not yet.
no, no. We'll pending, let's just leave it open to pending Jim's review. We'll make it as,
He's prompt.
as.
Yeah, no, he's good, he's good. I just, procedurally, we've got someone watching our procedures here.
That's what they pay me for.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I get the list, the sign-in sheet, please?
All right, thanks for your time and your
Take it easy.
attention to detail, appreciate it.
Do you need your butter thing?
Good idea.
No, those are
Jim
yours
can
for the
come.
record.
It'd be nice if Jim can come, or give us a letter.
Well, yeah, he'll just have to give us specific feedback. Okay, so I'd like to close that part of the meeting and close and then get back to, I have it right here, so I can get back to now our agenda, which is a presentation from Tracy Cutter on the Better Bagging petition to reduce plastic bag consumption in Littleton, Massachusetts.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tracy Cutter. This is Abby Oliver,
Right,
and I'm here to...
Just for the record, could I get both of you to sign in there? Just print your name and address, please.
Professional land surveyor.
I have a little slideshow. I don't know if I should connect to the TV or if I should just...
You could try.
I could try, I guess.
Would you be able to help?
HDMI cable,
Okay.
it's worked really.
Okay.
Yep.
Give Rosie here.
he likes to take a picture with us on the town meeting.
What's
So
the
maybe he can speak in.
That's pretty clear.
Yeah. He'll take us a picture. Well, he did. You came too late.
He was not inaccurate.
You were there.
Thank you.
Inaccurate.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy's.
You're all set.
We got approval of this thing too. So this thing, make sure everybody reads it. We have to-
Thank you for your patience.
Okay.
All right. Okay, well, we've been...
So this is, so just so I'm on board with what's happening and understand, because
Yes.
this is a presentation. There's nothing, we have no action out of this today. It's just a
That's
understanding and then.
correct. Yeah, we wanted to inform the board.
Right, at some point, we have to enforce compliance, is my understanding.
Yeah, that's...
We would take feedback.
Yeah, yeah, feedback, but then,
exactly.
and
We
then,
wanted to
Okay.
tell you about it, let you know what's going to be happening, hopefully, and then get your feedback. And
right. And then pending full approval, or when there's approval at town meeting, then we're in part responsible for compliance.
That's right, yep. Okay, so, the bylaw that we're trying to get on the warrant for this May is to limit distribution of single-use plastic bags at checkout counters. And we are requesting that town meeting members vote in favor of it on Monday, May 7th. And if it passed at the town meeting, it will go into effect on January 1st of 2019. So, joining the bag free. There is a state plastic bag law out. It hasn't passed yet, but it's been in the works for a couple of years now, and it kind of stalled in committee for a while. It was proposed by Representative Lori Ehrlich and Senator Jamie Eldridge, and it was approved by the Senate in 2016, and then it was sent to the Environmental Committee. It has, just in the last couple of weeks, passed that committee. They voted on it, 13-1 approved it. When it came out, it looked a little different. I guess that's what happens when it goes in committee, so it looked a little different, but it's a good law. It could be if it's approved. It's still got a long way to go. It's got to go through hearings, and then it's got to be approved by the House and the Senate. If it got approved, it would be the law of Massachusetts to limit plastic bags. And the way it's set up now, it could change again, is it would require retailers to only give checkout bags that were paper. So no plastic bags.
Paper or reusable, correct?
Paper, or they could bring their own, yeah, and they could even give out reusable, but yeah.
Market baskets.
They couldn't, yeah. Yeah, the ones you have to
I
purchase.
assume you're going to get to this, maybe you are, but, and if you are, then you don't have to answer, just tell me you're get to it. But what are the differences that you're aware of between what you'd like to propose to the town versus this potential state law, as you know it to be?
Sure. The differences between this one and ours, as of now, we're going to allow paper, the exact same kind of paper. They have some criteria around their paper. We have the same criteria. Almost all of the bylaws in Massachusetts have that same paper criteria. We're allowing for compostable plastic bags. They are not. They were. We actually changed ours to match theirs, and then they changed theirs, making theirs better. So I will get to it, actually. Okay, so at this point, as of December 31st, 61 towns and cities in Massachusetts have passed some type of bag limit on plastic bags. So they all look a little bit different. That's 17% of Massachusetts communities. And there's a lot of them. There they all are.
Well, you gotta
Is that
click them all.
location specific? Is that location accurate?
No, it's not location accurate. Oh, that would have been cool. I gotta do that.
You should, there you
I
go.
gotta set it up. I gotta set it up.
Just put up a big map.
Yeah. All right, so, the slide you missed, her favorite slide is, it's time for Littleton. It's time for Littleton. There's a lot of communities that have done this, and we feel it's really time for Littleton. And there's a lot of reasons why. Why limit plastic bags? Environmental responsibility. Plastic is a problem. We need to keep it out of the parks, keep it out of, you see them flying around, especially this time of year even more, I think. Once the snow melts, it's just like, if you look around, up in the trees and down in the gutter, we all see them. They get into the storm drains, the waterways, the lakes, eventually make it to the ocean. There's a lot of plastic floating around out there, and we need to do it to protect marine animals and other wildlife and our own health. I think it goes beyond fish, although that is an issue too when we're eating fish. So basically, we want to prepare our town for a cleaner future. This is Littleton. It's a beautiful town, as we all know, in all seasons, but this is also Littleton. And obviously, it's not just our town. You see it everywhere along the highways, and there's plastic bags everywhere. I have kind of an interesting one here somewhere. Oh, no. There it is, the bird's nest, yeah. It's bird's nest built on this plastic sheet, which is...
Well, insulation.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool, I guess, in a building way, but it's also kind of disgusting, so, yeah.
The birds are
It
reusing
is.
it.
Yeah, they're reusing, right? Why can't we? Okay, so plastic living, it just gets to some statistics about plastic bags.
They're aerodynamic, they fly around. They're mistaken as food for birds, turtles, whales. We've all seen the pictures of the turtles that have ingested them. Pretty gruesome. And 10% of the plastic produced around the world ends up in the ocean. That doesn't sound like a lot, it's only 10%, but when you think about all the plastic produced, it's a humongous, it really is a huge problem. 70% of that 10% finds its way to the ocean floor. It never degrades. So it's a modern problem that it's kind of time to tackle. Each square mile of ocean has 46,000 pieces of plastic floating in it. And the other thing about plastic bags is they are manufactured using non-renewable fossil fuels like oil and natural gas. The compostable bags also have some issues, but at least they're not, they are produced more by biofuels and not by petroleum fuels. They have issues too, breaking down. There's also this thing called microplastics. Plastic bags do break down, but they break into small pieces. They don't compost the way a paper bag would. They break into smaller pieces, and they stay around. They stay hanging around, and they still continue to be eaten by sea creatures and birds and everything else. And it can block their digestive tracts and all kinds of gross things. You can't get rid of them once they're broken down. You can't scoop them up. So a lot of scientists think microplastics are actually the greatest long-term danger. So good to remember, what goes in the ocean goes in you. We're eating what is coming out of the seas. Okay, so how many bags? The average family accumulates 60 bags and only 4 trips to the grocery store. It's another statistic of one family accumulates 500 per year. And it's a short lifespan, 12 minutes per bag. And I know some people use them longer, reuse them, but overall, they're just not they really are throwaway bags. Every year, Americans discard 100 billion single-use plastic bags, and one of the problems with recycling plastic bags is, first of all, a very small amount get recycled. This says less than 1%. I have heard 5% around that, so it could be a little higher than 1%, perhaps, but it's not a lot. And the other problem with recycling is there are not very many recyclers that are in the business of recycling plastic bags anymore.
Just bottles.
Yeah, just the bottles. It's very hard to do. There's no
They can burn
money
the
in it.
bags. Be nice for everybody, be nice and decent to realize that it's causing a lot of problem. Take them and make sure they get burned, you know what I mean, by somebody picking them up.
Yeah.
Like a recycling.
Well,
But they
that'll
don't.
create toxins
They don't.
Yeah.
too.
No, but
least you get rid
there's
of the
places you can
waste.
burn and filter. I think that might be what's it. Burn and filter.
Oh, I
so it's-
see. Oh, yeah.
Break it down.
So you filter
So
the
it's-
toxics and, yeah.
You still end up with a toxic
But
waste, though.
Well, recyclers hate plastic
plastic.
bags. They're on so many committees against plastic bags because there's actually, I didn't put it in here, but there's a few pictures of them trying to deal with their with their equipment. They got the bags, they're trying to sort through their recycling, and they got all these plastic bags tangling up all the machines, and people are trying to cut them away. That happens every day, I guess. Every day on the machines, they're cutting plastic bags. So it's a problem for recyclers, and it's just, there's not enough money recycling plastic bags for anyone to get in the game. Very few people. So it's a problem. The bylaw, we have come up with a bylaw that we would like to see that is very similar to the 61 bylaws around the state. It would limit single-use plastic bags. That's kind of a repeat, okay. First of all, the definition of a checkout bag. We are defining it as a carry-out bag. It's a recyclable paper bag, a cloth reusable bag, or a compostable plastic bag. So that's what we're considering a checkout bag. And a retail establishment we're defining as any commercial enterprise, including but not limited to restaurants, pharmacies, convenience stores, goes across the gamut. So it would include a lot of businesses. There's about, I think, 52 was the last count of businesses in Littleton that would likely be affected. A lot of those really wouldn't be affected because they don't hand out plastic bags, but. Okay, so what bags can be dispensed by retailers? Paper bags. These criteria are just very commonplace and would be easy for any, grocery store, anyone to obtain. 100% recyclable, has to be made from no old growth fiber, contains at least 40% post-recycled content, and displays the words recycled and made from 40% post-consumer recycled content in a visible manner on the bag. But that one's easy to accomplish. The plastic, then we've got the compostable plastic bags. This is a plastic bag that meets a standard called the ASTM D6400 standard. It's a standard that means that if you bring the plastic bag if you return it and it's brought to a facility under the right conditions, high heat, extremely high heat, the plastic bag should compost itself. You can't really throw it in your home composter, so it's not ideal, but
Better than that.
it's better than nothing, and the other good thing about it is not produced by oil. It's not made by oil and
Oh, it's
fossil fuels.
manufactured, yeah.
Yeah,
Some town already use those.
yeah,
They don't use plastic bag no more.
yeah, they've gotten rid of their,
Any town that I travel and they.
yeah,
they-
it's definitely happening,
Right, yeah. It's good, it's very good
yeah.
Who around us has,
over here in this area.
anybody around, any local,
Lincoln?
any?
How about immediate areas? So the
Yeah.
question I had
Groton.
is Lincoln's one thing, but what about Westford, Groton, Acton? I'm more.
Acton has not, they're working on it.
Right,
They
what about
may go to
Westford?
town meeting. Westford has not. A lot of the towns around here have not,
Air.
unfortunately.
Groton?
Air has not, Groton has
Concord
not.
has.
Concord has, and
Concord's
Lincoln
got rid
has,
of
and
water
Bedford
bottles,
has.
too,
I mean,
so-
I know that's a ways away. The Concord, Lincoln, Bedford, but we're kind of in an area that not a lot have. A lot have on the North Shore, and a lot have around Boston,
So for.
The Cape does.
as
and a
a-
lot have out west.
So as a suggestion at town meeting, I would address that. That's
Okay.
gonna be an elephant in the room,
Okay,
because people are gonna point out
yeah,
that, well, I like my plastic bags because I use them for my own garbage, I use them multiple times.
You're responsible.
I don't want to pay for it, other bags or whatever. I frequently go to Westford, I'm just going to shop in Westford, and now I'm going to take business out of Littleton. So I'm not saying
Yeah.
that's me, I'm saying,
Yeah,
I'm playing
it's an
devil's
issue.
advocate for you guys.
Yeah.
So think about that and address that up front.
right,
And if you know
okay.
or have an inkling that the other towns are considering similar regs, bring that, just say,
Okay.
Acton's considering it right
Yeah.
now, blah, blah, blah. I do a little bit of homework around that.
Okay.
This is an excellent
Okay,
question.
yep, good point.
Lincoln, Sudbury, Concord, that's great,
people
but
could
that's
go
not
there.
next to us, right?
Yeah.
So be more concerned
It's the
about
abutting-
neighboring
Yeah, right,
communities,
that makes
not,
sense.
not those inside of
Yeah,
95.
You
Yeah.
can't comparing little apples and
Yeah,
apples,
What would we
not.
lose business to if,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why,
Okay,
why
good
did
point.
you include compostable plastic bags?
This is.
And have you
This
done
question
outreach
has
to the
Yeah, I
local
would-
businesses?
Eaten us a
Was
lot.
that-
We're still debating whether to even keep that or just take it off and
I
say
would get
only
rid of it.
paper.
Well,
But then
You
we are-
said it to a T, though. It's like there are still some issues with the compostability of
Yeah.
compostable bags.
Yeah.
If we're gonna, I agree, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay,
I've been
because
thinking
it's gonna
about
be
that.
hard to,
Compostable.
I was thinking enforcement, like, because I've had to comply, like, with the state requirement for recyclable, and when you send in documents to the state, you have to make a photocopy of the paper,
Yeah.
the cover of the paper, the packaging.
Oh, yeah.
To show, so when I saw that, I was like, well,
It would be hard to tease the difference and.
well, you could, but you're not gonna have bag police.
Right.
Oh, yeah, we
Well,
are.
that's what they're saying.
the
We
company
would,
would
because
be.
we would be the enforcers, the
Yeah,
hotel.
Well, okay,
But
so.
it would be easier for you if it were
But
just
the
all paper.
compostable plastic bags are going to be more difficult to,
Yeah.
I think, to enforce.
They
You have
also-
one here.
Yeah, so this is the compostable bag they give for produce in Brookline. And they give a bigger one with handles, at the checkout for your groceries, but they have done away with even for the produce section and the meat section. This is
And
the bag
I've
they
used,
give.
I've
These
used
are very
compostable
flimsy
bags,
they-
and they're not
you can
very
pass it.
strong.
This is the other bag, which
This
is
will not
the,
hold groceries.
a lot of towns
It's not
have
very
this
strong and they're
bag,
very
which is 10
expensive.
it costs 10 cents or 15 cents. It's
Yeah, we consider
multiple use, but it's still plastic. So we took this off from the bylaw. We said, this will again end up anyway somewhere in some trash.
Yeah.
And that idea came up at the meeting, right, at the conference. Tracy went to a conference and everybody said, if you want plastic, you put the compostable.
Because that's allowing something that's expensive and isn't very strong.
So maybe
And-
The other thing about that is you can take a compostable bag, and it doesn't have to look green. Like if Market Basket
Yeah.
went to use a compostable bag, they can make it white or clear or look like their bags,
Right.
and we can't police that if it's being policed. Anybody that's doing it, you can't tell the difference, even if you go over and you're not gonna go rip each one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, or
Yeah.
figure it out, or have a little scanner that says, ooh, you're wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's harder to police with
Yeah, it's gonna
any
be
plastic. If it's
Right.
plastic bags, it's plastic bags.
Good point, yep.
That's what you were getting at too, I think, with
Yes,
policing when you were
enforce-
saying
yeah,
that. So
just
it's
trying to
harder.
So
make it
that's,
happen.
yeah, that's something we are discussing back and forth,
Yeah.
to just take, we will get feedback from sustainability on Thursday.
Yeah.
And Board of Selectmen, we are presenting to them the following week.
And why did we go for bottles?
One step
Baby
at a time.
steps, baby
Yeah,
steps.
exactly.
I know, I have to say, these guys are
I think- I think-
sustainability, and when they first brought it up, we're like, we're not ready yet. But then when it came up this time, everybody's like, yeah, it's time.
Yeah, right.
It takes a while. We did
takes a while.
outreach to
They're the worst.
Takes a while, it takes
businesses.
seeing that
The
other
most
towns have done it
disgusting things that have
successfully.
ever been made.
Because
Plus
you-
the
Plastic
store, the
bottles.
grocery stores are not jumping with joy, right? They, even
they're-
though the
No, they're
same
scared.
Market Basket
They're
in Somerville would give.
But they've made, they have made, since we first approached them about this, Donlands and Market Basket have made huge leaps. They have signs up, they have recycling station, they
Yeah.
have a lot more than we
They
do.
The
offer
other thing is
boxes
they
now.
ask
A
now.
lot more.
They ask if you want paper or plastic. Sometimes they would ask, but it'd be like under their breath, you want paper or
I
plastic?
make them take it out of the plastic and put it in the
Well,
paper.
They know me down here. I mean, there's so much, they're just like, all right, here you go. There's already in the paper bags or the boxes of what I go
Yeah,
for.
the boxes are a new thing in Market Basket. and
But I think
that's
it's gonna be an easier jump because they're caving.
Yep, people have done it, and some of, Market Basket is very familiar with this. They're in a lot of towns that have done it, and same with
CVS
Donald's
too,
has done
in
it.
a lot of towns, they give only paper.
Yeah.
Let's see, CVS is also taking leaps and bounds towards everything. You know,
So-
being better for the
Yeah,
environment, better
yeah.
for the people, better for each one of their
Except
towns.
the-
think it's a good
except the
time to do it.
receipts.
Yeah.
You should recycle all your
Oh,
CVS
Lord, how
receipts.
much, yeah. Are you
There's
getting to
email receipts now.
price,
Receipts, oh my
plastic
God.
versus paper? Are you gonna get to that?
I wasn't gonna get there, but I can.
You don't have to, that's just, that's
Okay.
all my questions.
Yeah, the cost for the stores, for the grocery stores that I've seen is that plastic is a couple cents.
Yep.
That paper is around 5 cents, and the compostable around 15 cents, so it's like 3 times more.
Yeah.
So, many stores may choose not to even have them.
A lot of people buy in North Shore, when I go shop for my sister, they buy the bags from,
Those,
regular bags,
Yeah,
and they carry that every week.
Cotton polyester.
Yeah.
I got a bunch of bags at home.
yeah.
God.
I do
Really
that.
pretty.
I do that.
And I never
Plus, they
use
could
them.
also, the
saw yours
local
in my
businesses
car.
could give out bags, right?
Everywhere you go.
They are giving out these free bags.
We were
right?
giving them away.
I mean, the idea is to hope it will transition people to reusable cloth bags, to bring their own. That's the idea, but.
At least get them thinking more about it.
The bylaw would exclude produce bags, so you could still get your plastic produce bags if you have a
So
desperate
you can
need for
put your dog
plastic.
poop in.
Exactly, you
That's
still
the
have
answer
plenty
for
of it.
them.
Yep,
Well,
yeah.
I have 2 little dogs.
And then laundry bags and newspapers, there's still gonna be some plastic around.
Is it damaged?
We don't have to hold a funeral for it yet. So, paper or plastic, is compostable plastic so good it's better than paper? No, it's not. And of course, bringing your own bag is still gonna win every day.
And they've been doing this in Europe for decades.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the towns around here that have done it haven't had a lot of
Yeah.
problems.
I-
And the boards of health haven't had a lot of problems either. They've been able to police it without,
be fun.
without a lot of issues.
give us something to do while we walk around every day.
Can we have megaphones?
Do with the bag.
Can we,
No, it's,
I can't do
it's
anything
the
else.
stores. It would be the stores, not the people.
I just want to make
You don't find the individual
You can
walking
make
to
the
their
people
car.
testify against me. They made me take
Nobody
it.
goes shopping anymore. Call Uber Eats.
All right, so why was the Board of Health selected as the overseer? It seemed a natural fit to us, and actually, they have been the chosen ones for most of the bylaws around when it comes to the town, to the
what about the
towns.
purple bag that we go to the transfer station, and we have to have that purple bag because
Oh, yeah.
it require people to live in Littleton,
But
and we
see,
have to
that's
buy
not,
those.
that's, you have to buy them, but
Right.
that, she's saying what they're giving you your groceries in. or
I
your
understand
produce.
that, but I'm
Okay.
saying, don't touch the purple
We are
bag.
not bothered, no, we are not worried about
Maybe
it.
we should
Well,
get rid of the
I'm not
purple
gonna
bags.
put them in a paper bag and throw them in a dumpster.
Gino, we can use old feed sacks.
Yeah, we can use a little luggage, right around.
Gino, let's get garbage pickup for free and no taxes increased in town. So we just put it at the curb in a paper bag and the
For
the truck
free.
comes by for free. Yeah,
Free.
let's do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure the wildlife in this
I'll
town
be out
would
there
love us to
petitioning
put our garbage out in paper bags.
Well, didn't it make a lot of people recycle more when they brought that rule about the purple bag?
Purple bag.
Huge.
Because they didn't want to buy so many trash bags, so they
I
started.
thought everybody
There's
recycled,
a
and
couple,
then I heard all
yeah.
these people complaining about
I
having to
know, I
recycle.
know.
I'm like, oh my God, you
Yeah.
didn't recycle.
So I thought
I don't know
we are not
this, but
touching
you guys might even know about recycling. I'd say around 45 to 55% of Americans don't recycle.
Really?
It's around there. My wife and I were looking at it at one time.
Depending where you live, can be hard to do, depending on your town, your landlord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, it is.
So, the Board of Health will be the enforcing agent. Like I said, a lot of these towns, I've talked to a lot of bag law people, they're not having a lot of trouble. There have been a couple delinquent stores that have given people trouble. The dollar store, I guess, is a prime offender. But, we don't have a dollar store here. It's, I
We have
don't,
the
It's
other
a
store,
budding-
right?
it's a
Party
budding-
store, we have a party store.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, we'll see.
But there's a dollar store in Acton near Crossroads.
Yes, there is, yeah, the new one, yeah, that's right, that's right.
But we like the idea of talking to
that's
the
not
neighboring
Littleton.
towns.
Yeah.
I know, but it's
See
a butter.
what at
They'll bring us
state.
plastic, but we won't taking it from our town.
All the neighboring towns have some green committee, right? They all have some green, some sustainability.
Acton does, yeah.
So we'll talk to them and see if they are also.
Mr. Chairman, so the lady probably wants us to sponsor this?
Well, so first off, I mean,
It's
there's,
just
there's some question, I mean, we don't, so that is a separate thing. I mean, we can, someone from here, if we so agree, as a member of a board, a representative of the board, can go to town meeting and stand up for that, and that's appropriate, if we believe that to be the case. So I think primarily, though, this is as much about feedback. Is this absolutely for sure on the warrant?
You have to
It,
put it on the warrant.
I know,
yeah,
yeah.
it's not on the
It's
warrant
not on the
yet.
warrant yet.
Yeah, so it probably, hopefully will be by the
Right,
time.
right.
So are you asking tonight is, I'm thinking,
I guess tonight, we're really asking for feedback, and
Right.
if you,
Support it.
yeah,
So if we're enforcing, what is the enforcement?
the enforcement is if, I guess if there's a complaint, or if you see any evidence of a store giving out the plastic bags, then you would be recognizing that, and they'd be charged a fine.
And
So
where is
there
the
would be a fine.
Is the fine, because we do have fines for public nuisance, I know, in the regulations, but is there, in the regulation that you're proposing, is there a fine indicated? Or
Yeah.
some sort of penalty?
There's a fine. There's a fine, I think it's $100 a day.
But the question is, if all the business people are aware of it, I don't think they would like to be fined. You know what I'm saying?
For the most part,
Can
they
you
go
present this at the town meeting? Can you?
Yes, I'm planning
You
to.
live in Littleton?
Yes.
Well, we can, I'll suggest that she has all the, what do you call, the computer and everything, she can, explain it to the public, what you told us.
Yep,
You can
that
be
would
our-
be
You
great.
can be our ambassador.
That would be great.
Well,
That would be
Well, no,
great.
we would still need to have one of us as a
Okay.
representation for it. They won't even accept it at town meeting or.
Well, no,
Board of
I
Selectmen
understand,
as
but
her
we
speaking
can
for us. They
have,
won't
we
do
can
that.
have, we can be there, because you have to remember, you have to read all that and be able to explain on the computer. So if
Oh,
one of
she's
us
already
can.
planning on presenting. She's
Yeah.
not gonna let one of us present her,
Right.
her baby.
But
right?
just want some-
One of us can be there, yes. you have
I'd
to-
love for any
I
of you
won't
to be
be
here.
for it.
Well, that's okay. One of us is.
Exemptions, what are exemptions?
Yeah, that's the other piece.
Let's,
There's
I've not
basically,
been home in 13 hours, so
Yeah,
let's keep this
okay.
rolling.
there's basically, the two pieces would be the enforcing, which would be the fine, and then exemptions. If any business, any business does have the opportunity to apply for an exemption, they would basically
Either in the state, so either in the state, proposed state law as it currently stands, what's been proposed or in committee, or what you know in some of these communities, what would constitute an exemption?
There's
Is
been
it-
very few, I can't even think of one except, there may be, but I
I think that needs to be spelled out.
yeah, I guess so, what an exemption would be.
Right.
I mean, basically, in a general way, an exemption would be when a business said, we have a unique business that relies on plastic bags, and there is just no suitable alternative for us.
You probably, you
I
need to
can't
say
even
that
think of a-
in the regulation. Because
Yeah.
the scenario would be if we're the enforcing board, that you
Yeah.
have somebody come in and say, hey, I found these people, this business giving out plastic bags, and then what are we supposed to do in reaction to that? So it has to be spelled out.
Yeah,
Right, they would have to have applied first
And
for
then
an exemption.
The second, well, but I'm just saying in general, that would be one instance, and
Yeah.
another one would be a business coming in and asking for an exemption.
Yep.
So it has to be clear in the regulation what that is, so that
Yeah.
you give guidance to the businesses coming in here,
Yep.
and also to us for making the decisions.
Right,
Yeah, for example, I would hope an exemption isn't, well, we're not, the business might be located here, but we're not headquartered here, therefore we're not going to comply.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Right.
But it needs to be spelled out. And I
Yeah.
just think some examples of what exemptions
okay.
have been granted
okay.
or are
Yeah, I'll
allowed
just-
or
we'll do
proposed to
some
be allowed
research on
would be some,
Or you
would be
could
helpful.
say, there are no feasible alternatives for a unique situation, there are no feasible alternatives to using plastic bags for carrying.
Well, I think, so understood, but I think a specific,
Yeah,
not just leave it gray.
such as,
Right.
yeah, something.
Well, then you're
But-
granting
It was
the
hard to
exemption in
even
the
think-
regulation by doing
Yeah.
that.
But I think if it's going to pass a town vote, having some specifics.
About what it possibly
What,
could be.
what are examples?
But would you also, going with what you said, Chairman, would you agree that don't necessarily put it in her slideshow, but have that answer if asked?
No,
No, just
I'd
be right
bullet
out
it.
with it?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd bullet it.
okay.
If you put it in the regulation, then you're pretty much granting the exemption in the regulation.
No, understood, but this isn't about the regulation.
No,
This
she's
is the
giving a
town approving
presentation
it,
of-
and then the regulation's going to be written. So
Okay, I
what you
was-
do up here, and you say, there could be exemptions,
Right.
These
and
are examples of.
here are examples of exceptions, or what is written or proposed in the state law or some of these communities. Because there are regulations out there, because they've been passed, now if there's exceptions, what are they? If there's not, then
Yeah.
then saying
Yeah.
exemptions is sort of misleading,
Right.
right?
I guess we wanted to give a business an opportunity to at least,
Think about it.
no.
You're creating a loophole that I will, if I had a business,
Yeah.
find a way to meet that.
Yeah.
And make my
Right.
business meet that loophole, so I have plastic bags for 4
Yeah.
cents or 2 cents instead of 5 cents for a paper
Yeah,
bag.
right.
Well, but the other thing, more importantly, if there are no exceptions in current laws
Yeah,
or the proposed state law, if there are none listed, it's a little bit misleading to say, well, there could be
I
exceptions.
agree.
right.
Yeah.
And so that's the clarification.
Okay.
And again, I'm not saying I don't support this, I 85% support it.
The whole thing or the exemption piece?
No, the whole thing.
Okay.
But I'm playing devil's advocate
Yeah.
for those who are going to be hard to budge for
Right,
a variety of reasons. So I just would be, I'd do a little bit more homework on
Okay.
that piece.
yeah,
That's all.
okay, yep, that's good feedback.
I think the only one that's gonna agree with you would be like a company like a Market Basket, because when I go shopping, okay, the town voted against the plastic because there was so much plastic all over the place.
Yeah.
So what they do now, they say, you go shopping and they say, we can give you a paper for nothing. But if you want to buy a bag with a handle, that costs you 10 cents.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you can
It's
start
worth
with
it to
Market
you.
Basket, little by little, maybe all the other small business people will say, I have a bag here, would you like to, they put it on your price that you buy for it. They charge you 10 cents.
Well,
Well,
They're not doing the
But
same.
once you do this, when it's passed, it's the whole town
It's
immediately.
not, it's not
Yeah.
like get on the train, it's there.
But you can get a Market Basket to advocate on your behalf.
Right.
Is what Gino's probably getting at
Right.
too, is get the bigger companies in town to say,
Yeah.
yeah, let's do it, let's get it
And
going.
that's a
And the
big
little companies
deal,
will say
big
Well, I
yes.
think, is that what you're saying here?
Yeah, that's what we're saying. We have talked to Donalds and to Market Basket, and they cannot formally support a town bylaw because they are already working on the state bylaw. They're working with the Mass Food Association, and they really want to go after the state to pass a bylaw, to pass their own state law, because they're just frustrated with each town having a
Yeah,
different.
that makes a lot of
it's stressful
sense.
for them. So,
Yeah, the state-
the more we model ours after the state, the
Yeah.
better we are, I guess.
The state's gonna go for it.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of complaints from even the senators, that they're putting a bill for the whole state to eliminate those plastic bags.
Yeah, it seems like it's got a good shot at it, but you never
You
know.
find them everywhere.
Yeah.
But when
Yeah,
they
you
do
really
pass
do.
that as a state area, or as a state regulation,
Nullifies
that's
all
5-10
the
years
town.
from now.
Yeah, but it nullifies all the town ones.
Yes.
But if you,
But if
you
we're already
start,
there,
Yeah,
if you
it'd
start
probably take
slowly.
But if it's like Concord that has no plastic bottles either, it doesn't negate that, because that's a separate
Yeah.
portion of their law.
but it negates all the
And the
plastic
lo-
laws
right.
which the towns do. So some towns may choose to wait for the state to pass, but we think it will take 2-3 years.
Well, and so,
It's a
that's
long
another
process.
thing to note, is, just to be prepared to answer that as well, is, again, the devil's advocate will say, state's working on this, let's the state
Yeah,
right.
figure this out before we pass laws that now become superseded in a couple of
Right.
years. So again.
It's gonna take them a while.
Yep.
I like that you're mocking it after the state law.
There's we're talking and we're bouncing back and forth, but Target used to give you like 5 cents off your bill when you brought your own bags. I think that is a really neat thing to, because as opposed to,
But
you know,
still, nobody brings them there.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I brought a return, put everything back in the bag that I was returning, and they're like, okay, there's 5 extra cents off your bill. It was their own bag.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, it's early adopter towns, the towns that have already done it, it generally went very smoothly. And they didn't have trouble getting the bags, like especially the paper bags, those specifics are easy now. We are expecting very little enforcement work. Generally, when a rule comes out, the businesses just follow, especially the bigger ones. They're kind of ready. At this point, they're ready. A Market Basket is ready for this. Even Donald's, they've done it in Lincoln.
They know it's coming.
They know it's coming, and they're ready. So why not now? Well, we just want to give people time. The reason we set January 1st is most towns have given the retail establishments some time to deal with it, and switch over, phase out their current. They wouldn't have to throw out their current bags. You won't see like heaps of bags in the trash. At this, they won't be throwing out everything they have. They'll just be using it, and it's just phasing it out over the next 6 months. And conducting any training that they need with their baggers. And this is the exemption piece. So, undue hardship, unique circumstances, no reasonable bag alternatives.
There's no time needed.
Yeah, if they needed, if they said, oh, we're still not, it's been
Oh,
6
okay.
months, we're still not out of our plastic bags, can we have till March?
I don't like that one,
Really?
the second bullet, no. I think if you go into 2019, they can get rid of their bags.
Yeah. I
You
would
can just
think
put them
so.
in the storeroom.
or send it to recycling.
Yeah, do some, yeah.
It'll cost them, but.
So,
I guess, we're trying to make it,
I
where
know.
we can, easier for business. We're not trying to
I know.
torture them, so we,
That's-
not that, yeah, I don't know.
I'm going for the extension. as a business.
You like the
I'm not
extension?
a business, but I'm saying, no, I'm saying, if I'm a business, I'm going for as long as I can.
Oh, yeah,
we-
right.
That's how I'm thinking too.
I'm going for that
Yeah.
loophole.
Yeah,
I'm gonna buy a bunch of bags so I have them in a pile.
But again, if the state is saying this,
yeah,
stick on what the state says, because it
Yeah,
wins,
that's
it's a little
right.
bit easier towards winning towards the
right,
town.
and it's
Yeah.
gonna go that way anyway, okay.
If.
That's a
I don't
good
know.
point. Yeah, if it passes, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not set, and there's no reason to think it will definitely.
Is this the same enforcement that's in the state?
Yeah, I think their fee might be a little different. They might be doing, they might have a 50.
I wanna make sure it's the same.
Okay, oh, yeah. It's a good point, we should. So we put, it could be enforced by the Board of Health or any town police officer.
Well, enforced or,
Deliver. Or
Deliver?
is it deliver?
well, someone has to enforce by enforcing the fine. And I don't think the police department they're gonna write up tickets.
That's, yeah, if
I
you're,
think you have to look at what enforced, the definition is enforced is.
well, that's also part of what we were talking about earlier, is they're gonna write out the bullet points of how you enforce. So it's gonna have to be something to where somebody saw it, or I saw it, I'm on the Board of Health,
Yep,
I don't have to mention it to them at all.
yep.
I report it back to the Board of Health, all of us, we're the enforcers, and then we go to step 2. Step 2 is we write up the document that's already been templated, and then we send that out to the location. You have X amount of days to pay your fine, you've been notified that they've noticed that you have been using
Or you give them a
plastic
warning.
bags.
You haven't, you said you've got upcoming to the.
One warning and then-
Board of Selectmen?
Yes.
Next week.
It just lets them know that.
I think that a warning is giving them again the
Yeah, I know.
extension.
Suggest that we send
It's like when I was on
all the
the
businesses
condo board. We send out
information
4
ahead
warnings
of
before we
time.
send out a fine,
that
and they
this
don't have to
is
pay the fine.
something
Well, just
Yeah.
one warning.
somebody's thinking
I know,
of.
but what I'm saying is-
So
I know.
their feedback will
I
also
got
They got the
Yeah.
warning this month,
help us.
Yep.
they get a fine next month. They get the warning the next month, they get a fine the next month.
Requirements for
Only per day,
retailers.
one at a time, so they're gonna
The,
break the rules
the
for a
other
couple days.
requirements for the retailers would
Make
be,
their money back,
they'd have
that's
to
right.
advise
Paper
customers, they have a poster up basically to say,
The loophole.
wash your bags, sanitize your bags, keep your bags clean. That's a pretty standard thing that other towns have done. It's just a poster. And this was something the Sustainability Committee suggested, and it may not stay actually, because it's a little bit tricky. They said if you're going to have any kind of, I think it needs to go. This was when we were,
I think people need to take responsibility for themselves.
yeah.
It's like
I-
washing your pots and hands or,
Yeah, I think the issue was when we had plastic in there, we were gonna have the thick plastic bags, the
Yeah.
4 mil. Brian actually didn't want us to have plastic bags, have people able to get the plastic bags, and then have like Donald's has the nice, you can return your plastic bags there. But if they don't have that, or they take them away, then there's nowhere for people to bring them back. But it doesn't make sense with compostable,
Yeah, so
because
we
you
just-
can't, so I
Yeah.
think that bullet needs to go.
But I also think with just the regular plastic, kind of like police yourself, but now what you're doing is you're putting a bigger monetary expense to the company that has to
Yeah,
go now
that's
pay to
right.
recycle that plastic,
Yeah,
because they can't use it.
Yeah.
So you fined
Yeah.
me before I even did something
Right.
wrong, kind of thing, so.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah.
They may still have that in the state one, but let the state slap that on.
Yeah, and I don't
Not
think
the
they should be
state, not us.
having to tell people to sanitize their bags.
'Cause
You know,
nobody
the
will.
businesses.
Yeah,
Oh, well, that's a liability. I disagree. That's a liability thing. for
that's
the
been
business.
pretty much on,
It's absolutely a liability thing.
I think it's a.
Once the poster's up, now they're out of their liability.
Well, yeah, they have to say it, but nobody's,
It doesn't matter.
It
They're
doesn't
not
matter.
enforcing whether it's
Yeah.
clean. It's a liability. It says, it's like,
You're
wash
right.
your hands before you go
It's
back
yours.
to
But
work.
that-
That's all you have to do.
That's up to
Yeah.
them and their lawyers.
You can take
not
it.
us.
there's
Not
gonna be a
the
lot of
regulation.
lawyers involved in this town.
Took it.
Being
Took
against
it.
this
Yeah,
being
let's,
moved,
yeah,
so.
let's not write the law here. I think that we're looking
Yeah.
for, they're looking for feedback on the
Presentation.
presentation, so.
okay, so, and the porters, at the Wilton Tercentenary Parade, we have plastic bag busters, so there's some support in town. Is it really worth it, and can we count on you?
So, a couple other questions. Do you know if, like, Market Basket or Donald's already uses paper bags that would be compliant to what you?
No, they do not use these kind of, at least Donalds, Donalds doesn't.
Okay.
I don't know what Market Basket uses for paper bags.
Okay, okay.
So you're regulating paper bag?
Yeah.
That's hard. Is the state
But
doing that?
The state's doing that, all of the bag laws are doing
It's
that.
because the paper bags are not good.
Well, I
Yeah.
understand. I can go to Donald's
Yeah.
and carry my groceries inside. I can go to Market Basket and they rip on the way to the car. I understand that.
Yeah.
So they're
That's why you
using
gotta buy your
material.
own bag, like I did.
I never put them in
No,
the
I mean
garage, you know.
environmentally, they have a lot of issues
The-
with. yeah.
But
That's not a
Tree-based, though.
terribly tough requirement for them. It
No,
looks
right.
stringent, but they can get them. It's not
I
so
think the
bad.
idea is that they're not going to use them. It'll be reusable.
Oh,
It's a-
so
it's-
they're gonna have them, but they're gonna push
it-
the reusable
I
bag
think it's a
instead of-
cultural shift. So what you were really trying to do is influence a cultural shift. Like in Europe, I remember my niece saying that if you went to the store and you didn't have your own bag, it was embarrassing. You were
Oh.
like, that's where you want to get to
Yeah,
that.
you get used to, I'm going shopping, I bring my bag, I keep a carry, you carry something with you, and
And the stores might charge for the paper bags.
Like Aldi's. Aldi's will charge you for any bag. You go to
Anyway,
Aldi's
I
store, you have to
think
take it to the
work
car
out
and
the
you go
cost
to the
of the paper bag into the groceries. Somewhere it's,
Oh, yeah.
they're already paying for
bag
it.
tax, like a
No, I think it's in some
Bottle
price.
tax.
Yeah, but they
somewhere.
might start, I mean, they
Yeah.
could do some places do that. They charge you for the paper bags
Yeah.
even. That's what they were doing in Germany 20 years ago.
Well, I'll tell you, I think this is
I got this for you, but you
Awesome.
don't drink it.
an awesome idea. It needs a good ironing, a lot of
Yeah.
work to it, but I think
Yeah.
it's an awesome idea. It's a great initiative. I applaud you guys for doing it.
thank you.
I think, just again, I appreciate you also coming to us to get the feedback. That's really cool. Like, it's really nice to be able to give a little input to help you lead you in the right directions, but a lot of wrinkles, but
Yeah,
they're easily
there
taken
are.
care of, but also focusing, in my opinion, really heavily on what the state's gonna do. Mirror the image of that,
Yeah,
and then make it sound soft. you know?
right.
Because the state's
Right.
gonna, when they come down and finally do it in a few years, it's gonna
Yes.
be a pretty good slap down on this is what it is.
The problem with the state is they change it too. Each committee it goes into, it kind of changes. I was surprised it changed for the better a couple weeks ago, but no one expected that, so it was good, but.
And the other thing is, and I don't know how much of this you need to include in this, but the risks that are involved with plastics and the microplastics and what that's doing. There's literature out there now that's starting to come through,
Yeah.
but it's getting into all our food sources.
Yes, yep.
And I don't think, there's not awareness of that yet.
Right.
And also, I would put up just for, the picture of the garbage out in the Pacific, the garbage
Okay.
islands.
Yep.
Yep, the
Yeah,
floating.
I
The
actually
sushi
have-
pictures are
I've got shots of that.
riveting.
We have the movie also, Bag It, but we don't, it's a long movie to show people.
Yeah.
We could do a small
informative.
excerpt of,
Yeah.
5 minutes. or-
But the microbes are a big deal.
Yeah.
They're really, really bad, and they're everywhere.
I am very on board with what you just said, too. I think that's awesome. But I want to caution you when you approach any board, anytime, don't use, and it's been tossed to me as well, just be careful not to beat it down too hard because it turns into what people consider a scare tactic. You don't want to be like the puppy dogs on TV commercial, where there's a lot of strays, and we do want to protect our animals and everything, but you don't want to try and get a scare tactic into making people get on board with you, the boards get on board with you.
Yeah.
Just,
Okay.
Yeah,
in my opinion, it's not to see those and to see that it wasn't a duck,
yeah.
whatever, that bird, anyway, yeah, let's just say the
Covered
bird.
with
I
plastic.
agree,
Yeah,
but you talk a lot about marine life. We're not near the coast.
Yeah.
You have the lakes and everything like that, so
Right.
maybe tie it a little bit more
Toward
towards
the
the
lakes
lake
and- yep.
and
Yep,
the
good
roads
point.
and things like that.
Good point.
Take a look, talk to people, about like even Spectacle Pond. It's
Yeah.
our aquifer, that's where we receive our water for our town and the town,
Right.
Take a
Start coming
picture
down
of the
and-
fences around the,
Yeah.
Common.
the
Transfer
the
station.
transfer station,
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
or around the plastic dumpsters around the because they fall down there, if things fall down there too.
Yeah,
Or the,
yeah,
the,
that's awesome.
that's a good point.
there's we have, at the plastic recycling at the transfer station, they have those red barrels
Right.
that are for plastic bags.
Right.
because they're not allowed to put the plastic bags in the
Put it
dumpster,
away.
but they can take their plastic bag and put it in a trash bag, in a trash can. And it's usually overflowing.
Yeah.
It's open discussion, so I can name names, correct? I don't want to be wrong with on the
It's
board
open
here.
discussion.
So, a person to get in contact with and can definitely advocate and help is Rob Hartz, Hartz.
Okay.
He's the president of Spectacle Pond Association.
Oh, okay.
So, Spectacle Pond Association for many years has worked with the EPA, worked with different people, different organizations to work these exact things, protection of our waterways and protection of all that. Rob Hartz will
Okay.
definitely be able to lead you in the right direction with the Spectacle Pond, and to meet with that association when they have their meeting
Okay.
would be a pretty good thing to as well present to
Thank you.
them and
That's
get them on
Yeah,
board.
there's a Lakes and Ponds Committee, too, that I
There
think
is,
that's a part
yes. I
of.
want to talk to them.
So they'll
yeah.
put he's probably on that.
Yeah.
He-
He's the
Clean
Most
Lakes
likely.
are, yeah.
Because Long Lake has one, and then.
Yes.
Mill Pond.
Yeah.
I can give you his phone number.
Oh, yeah.
He would love to hear from you.
That's awesome.
978-580,
Okay, hold on 1 second.
I'm going to speak fast. Hold on.
978. Yep.
978-580-1343,
Okay.
and his email.
Okay.
I can't do that one, actually, I don't know that. I don't know that.
We're on TV.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
would, let's take this after the meeting closes,
That's fine.
instead of
Yeah,
giving
sure.
people's
Yeah.
information out as soon
I
as you
didn't even think
start.
about that, so no.
Sorry.
Nope, that's quite all right. I think it's fine to
Yeah, okay,
volunteer
great.
someone, but not their public information.
He's probably watching right now, too. He watches.
And he's probably throwing his can of beer at the.
I'm going to receive like
He's
30
gonna
text messages in a
He'll
minute.
forward all
Glass
his calls to
bottle,
you.
his recyclable bottle of beer.
No, he's excited,
Okay.
guaranteed.
Anything else?
So you mentioned 85%, so what was your reservation?
I just don't like people telling me what to do. Part of it is I reuse my bags. So another thing to talk about and to move people off their comfort is for people that do reuse their bags, what are some other options for them?
Right.
Just brainstorm that. I don't have the answer to that,
Right.
but brainstorm
What do you
that and
do
think about
to
that.
get there? Yep, okay. Well, thank you very much for having us. This was great feedback.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for coming.
This was very good,
All right, thank you.
very useful. All right.
Very nice. Okay, before we close.
So if what meeting is it supposed to be at?
You can close that if you want.
The sustainability?
No, the
Board of Selectmen.
the
right?
Board of Selectmen.
Oh.
I mean, the town meeting when it comes up.
The May 3rd.
May
May,
7th. May 7th.
Because we'll have to, I think we'll have to vote at some point whether we want to support this or not as a board,
Yeah.
so that we can put a statement in to support.
We can choose to support it or not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
that-
what I said. We
Yeah,
have-
I don't think.
we'd have to- We,
I don't think we're required to do anything.
we're not required,
Yeah.
but one of us could put forward a motion, I believe, to support or not support,
Mhm.
and we could vote on it, we would vote on it if there was a motion second put forward
That's true.
to lend support at town meeting.
So maybe we could come back after we submit it and it's on the warrant? I think maybe
Yeah.
that would be a good time when it was
That'll be the
officially.
final
not there
version
yet,
also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get
We're not on
that.
it, then we
Yeah.
shouldn't support
Yeah,
them.
then
They're not even
you'll
helping.
kind of know
Or they're not even
specifically what you're
giving us-
voting.
Yeah,
I like that.
Okay,
So
I just wanted to
we
get
will
a
have
sense of the
meeting for it.
timing.
yeah. So maybe
Okay.
March or- Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, good night.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
What is this?
Those are just generally a list of the various open permits and things like that. It's a list of anything that we need, if anything that we need to address. There's nothing for us to
That's
sign.
It says septic permits to sign, that's what I was confused about.
There's nothing there,
Yep.
which means there's no septic permits,
There would be,
which there would be if there would be listed things.
Is this, well permit 65 Hartwell? Is that the discussion that we just had?
No, we had 73 Hartwell.
no, 65 is the one that was the abutter.
Yeah,
Ah.
that was the well
Yeah.
that he was talking about, so.
It was approved, so that right there shows that it was approved.
He wants to know when he was approved.
Ken wants to know when he was approved.
It matters, but doesn't.
Yeah.
It's approved.
Okay, anything? If anybody has anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
All right, you'll be home